But I mean, we're plugged in different places, though. I'm afraid I'm going to knock this off the table. I'm going to try my best not to. We can survive an entire episode of not destroying the equipment. I'll be super happy.
Don't get your hopes up.
Yeah. Hopefully it's not that expensive. But so in this episode, we are talking about the enemy of my enemy.
The enemy of my enemy is my friend, is the saying. Right?
That's the saying. I asked this question a while back on social media, and I specifically wanted to hear from Christians, from believers. True or false, the enemy of my enemy is my friend. And that is a way back, the statement, the phrase comes way back. And I looked it up. Go ahead.
Machiavelli thing?
Yeah, it was holy smokes, check you out. Yeah, it was a Machiavellian thing. And Niccolo, what was his name? Doesn't matter.
Niccolò Machiavelli.
Niccolò?
Something like that. He wrote The Art of War.
That was Sun Tzu.
That was Sun Tzu. Yeah.
Sun Tzu was a samurai. Yeah.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Well, Machiavelli wrote something because that's Tupac. He read that in prison, and that's why he named that album The 7 Day Theory, and he took the name
faked his own death and all kinds of stuff.
Yeah.
So the phrase, the enemy of my enemy is my friend, is an ancient proverb that suggests two opposing parties can collaborate against a common adversary. The earliest known expression of the concept was found in Arthashastra, a Sanskrit treatise on statecraft from around the 4th century BC.
That's not Machiavelli.
Not Machiavelli. Let's see. If you look at where did it originate, and I think it's going to go back to the Sanskrit again. Machiavelli is the one who made it popular because nobody speaks Sanskrit, and nobody has in thousands of years. It's what they call a dead language. But the idea is, again, like we read a second ago, is that you have a common enemy. If Chris lives on one side of me and Tango lives on the other, and Tango's noise is, his music's too loud and I don't like it, but I also don't necessarily like Chris, as long as we both don't like Tango, then we can be friends.
I guess until you've won the battle, then what happens?
Well, that's a different thing, right? That's when somebody said something along those lines in response to, what that is, as far as the outcome of that. So once you've won one battle, or it could be an ongoing thing, you're bubbling over. What do you got?
What you got?
Sorry, I'm going to hit us with a fact check.
Okay.
Chris is also right while you are right.
Okay.
Machiavelli wrote a book called The Art of War, but so did Sun Tzu. They're two different
How you like
books.
them apples?
Hey, that's only impressive because I was a Tupac nerd. That's the
Yeah.
only reason I know about Machiavelli and all that.
Well, news didn't travel as fast in the 4th century BC, so maybe Machiavelli had no idea that it came from the Sanskrit. And somebody had already written The Art of War, and on a different continent, in a different time. And Sun Tzu was not 4,000 years ago.
When was he? I don't know.
1,000 years ago. How far back did the samurai go?
Ooh,
Well,
thousands.
Yeah, a long time, right?
The samurai was still around when Abraham Lincoln was president.
Yeah, but hang on.
This is what we're going to get into on the show, though.
Yeah.
The Art of War from Machiavelli was written in 1519, and it's more of a dialogue on politics, while Sun Tzu is
this warfare.
770 BC to 256 BC.
So sometime in a 500-year period?
More than that.
Wow. Holy smokes.
What? Yeah. 544 BC is when Sun Tzu was born.
Okay. So the samurai go way... I don't know if the samurai went that far back. I knew that The Art of War, his book was 1,000 years old or more, but I didn't realize it was 2,000 years old, 2,500 years old, whatever.
It's an old book.
Yeah, long time. So these are ancient examples of the enemy of my enemy is my friend.
It seems to be a common thing throughout human history.
It does.
That's kind of how the First World War went and the Second World War. Every war goes that way.
Right. You end up kind of teamed up with somebody who's not necessarily your friend, but they're not. You have some common goals, so you don't mind sticking with them. Yeah. Like I said, I asked that question on social media, and somebody responded, I feel like there are people you don't care for but can take or leave who would be acceptable allies against a common enemy. However, there are those who are so bad that they will never be acceptable as an ally and are just a second enemy.
I agree.
Yeah, I think that's safe. Like, some people you just are not ever going to get along with, like, never, ever, no matter what. Man, my buddy Ricky Robinson gave a great answer to this, and it has either disappeared or he deleted it. Thanks a lot, Ricky. But he pointed out that it exists on two levels. So me and you can gang up on Tango because his music's too loud and we live on the same cul-de-sac or whatever. We don't. This is all hypothetical. None of us live on a cul-de-sac. But we could gang up against each other, and that could just be an ongoing thing, and we could get along for those purposes. But in the end, Tango moves out. He leaves the neighborhood. Then it's just me and you. We don't like each other. So then are we still,
like the next person that moves in, are they going to really like loud music and team up with Tango?
Right,
or are they going to be a quiet bird like myself? And team up with me against Tango?
But that's like the most molecular level argument for the enemy of my enemy being my friend. But like when we think about different levels, like the president, right? So we're in the middle of a presidential campaign season right now, an election season. Neither one of the candidates are good.
Yeah, I kind of felt like that's where you were going to go with this, because you know how I feel. I mean, I'm not a big Trump guy.
Yeah.
But I am not a Kamala fan whatsoever, or Tim Walz for that matter. So can I be behind Trump for the sake of not backing her?
Right. That's tough, right?
That's real tough, because I don't feed into the whole picking the lesser of two evils situation.
Right.
But it's like we're getting into a situation now in this country, like if it goes one way, it's like, oh God, what's going to happen? And if it goes the other way, it's like, you might prolong the worst for another 4 years.
Yeah. Well, let's split it up for a second then. So we're talking about our country, right? And you can look at these two people and you go, well, Trump was in charge of Operation Fast Track, where they cranked out the vaccine and they were like, you got to get the vaccine or you're going to Warp Speed. Okay. Yeah. Thanks, fact checker. So he was in charge of Operation Warp Speed, which there are so many of us that were like, yeah, I ain't doing that. And now there are a lot of people that regret having taken the shot. So then the other side, there's another, he just started flooding the economy with all kinds of made up money, which, sorry folks, contributed to the inflation that we have now. Like Biden did his own things and tanked the economy, but like Trump got the ball rolling. So like those are two not conservative things. First take the guns away and then do the due process. That's another one. The 6-week abortion ban is too short.
Laws.
Yeah, red flag law. All the stuff that he was in favor of that wasn't conservative, right? Well, like, okay. Up until that point, though, the economy had been great. Everybody's paycheck was going further. The price of gas was down. Groceries were cheaper. Rent was lower. So, like, from a political standpoint, you could look at him and say, all right, yeah, my life was better
when he was
with him in charge. Yeah.
And not only that, I mean, the man, I'm not, like I said, not a fan, but the man did do some good stuff that you pointed out. He done some things nobody else has ever done, like going to North Korea and all that.
Walked into North Korea hand in hand with Kim Jong-un.
And nobody's done that in what, like 40 years or something? It's been
a long time.
And I'm like, so the dude did a lot of good. Yeah. He really did. And we got to get into this. I mean, if we're going to talk about this, the dude is straight up gangster. The dude is just being so gangster, especially with what are we up to now? 3 attempts? As of today, they've taken a third attempt at assassinating him. Man, it sure does seem like that side that's all about being, what is it? Everybody being tolerance. Yeah, and everybody being tolerant of each other and unity and tolerance. They sure are trying real hard to just unalive the other opposing side.
Yeah.
It doesn't seem very tolerable.
It doesn't. But I mean, it's, and that's political. And so you're looking at, I don't know, he did some good things. Can I vote for him for the sake of my country? Right? I feel like my country's going to be in better shape. He ended a bunch of wars, a bunch of stuff we were involved in. We didn't have any business being involved in. The world was, he ended ISIS. Right? Remember, they were the medieval death cult that was tearing across the world, and he stopped them, and you hadn't heard anything else about them in years now. And
he got El Baghdadi.
Yeah, well, he moved the embassy, the capital, from Tel Aviv back to Jerusalem and Israel. Bunch of stuff that all the presidents have been like, yeah, we're going to do that. Well, he actually did it. Did some good stuff. So for the sake of, the political end of things, like, can the believer vote for him for the sake of our country? The other side of that is he did say that the 6-week abortion ban was too short, and he's not necessarily against the women's ability to kill their unborn baby. So we're like, well, man, can I trade that for lower taxes?
I don't know, because I don't know how we navigate that anyway.
Right.
Because while I don't believe that abortion is something you should do, I believe you're murdering a child. Mm-hmm. This whole my body, my choice, yes, I do not have the lady parts, but I'm going to speak my opinion on it anyway. So a molecule of a germ or anything found on another planet is considered life on another planet, but a heartbeat on Earth isn't.
Yeah.
So that's where I stand with abortion. But can I go around and oppose my belief on everybody? No.
Yeah.
Can I, if you ask me what I feel about abortion, I'm going to tell you. But can I just go out, or should I go out and start damning people because that's what they want to do?
Well, it's not up to us to damn people anyway. It's not up to us to condemn anybody. It's up to us to share the gospel and watch their lives and determine who they are.
I feel like if we're going to use that, though, to vote for somebody, it goes out the window with both of them, because he's not as firm against it as I am. So if he gives any, he's already not on the same page with me on it.
Right.
So it's like I really can't even use that part of it as a reason to vote for him either.
Yeah, yeah. Well, it's kind of a wash, right? And to look at Kamala Harris, Tango, you might be able to help us with this. There was a study, I forget who did the study, that determined that Kamala Harris was the most liberal senator, like in all of Congress, based on some scale they had put together in her policies. And
well, she locked up more people for nothing.
And making them...
And then hid evidence that could get a guy off death row until the courts made her give up the evidence.
Right.
Which saved a man's life.
Yeah.
But if the court wasn't going to make her do it, she was just going to let a dude die so that her statistics would stay good. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Well, and meanwhile, you got Trump bringing home A$AP Rocky after he got locked up in, Switzerland, or where was he? That he was like, we got to get A$AP Rocky out of there. And we're like, thanks, Don. I appreciate that.
I didn't even know he was over there.
Yeah, I didn't either at the time. And then it makes the news, and now all of a sudden Trump's a hero because he brought A$AP Rocky home.
Yeah, what about the people that are saying that, I know this might be a little bit off topic, but there's a lot of people out there saying that all this has been a big ploy to make him even more infamous, that he is planning these shots being taken at him.
Okay. All right. Okay. You and I have both fired these weapons before, the AR-15 that was used against him in Butler, Pennsylvania.
Yeah.
All right. Listen, you go out here. What was it? 157 yards away?
Something like that.
Not a hard shot with this weapon, especially with good optics. Go over there and shoot me. I want you to shoot me, but not real bad. All right, just shoot me in the ear. I'm going to turn, and when I do, you just shoot me in the ear, okay?
Yeah, you're done.
Yeah, right? Forget about it. You're either going to hit me in the forehead or not at all. Like, you
what
can't
about
shoot
the
me
other
in the
two
ear.
attempts? Because that's what they say.
Yeah.
Because you got the conservative side saying, hey, look at these joyous, accepting people trying to unalive our guy.
Yeah.
And they're like, no, we're all peace and loving. Unless you don't want to do what we want you to do.
Meanwhile, they're shooting at the guy.
repeatedly every other day now.
It seems like it. Yeah,
He better drop a mixtape because right now is the time for him to drop a mixtape.
Absolutely should take a break from campaigning for president to drop a mixtape.
He needs to get 50 Cent on there with him and Ice Cube because Ice Cube supporting Trump.
Is Cube on Trump's side? I hadn't heard from Cube on the matter. I gotta look it up. I guess.
Pretty sure he ain't for Kamala.
Yeah, I don't know, man. That's kind of where I'm at. Like she's not an option. Can't vote for her. And I look at Trump.
That vice president she picked. This dude was starting a gay club in high school or something, or for high schoolers or something. Something weird going on back then. And the dude his whole family came out wearing Trump 2024 shirts and stuff. And we got Biden wearing a Trump 2024 hat.
Bless his
heart.
I
mean, we got everybody saying that Trump is a better option except for Waltz and Kamala and a bunch of brain dead people on the internet.
Well, I heard somebody say the other day that Kamala was like a made-up idea because when she ran her own campaign in 2020, she ran her own presidential campaign at less than 2%. And now all of a sudden they say Biden's out, Kamala's the best thing ever. Kamala's the best thing ever. Like the masses now are, Kamala's the best thing ever.
That's what Jan Brewer says. They're like what's the dang birds that repeat themselves? Kamala's the best thing ever.
They just download an update and they get told wow, we're getting way off the rails here.
I bet when she ran in 2020, she was a proud Indian woman running for president.
Ooh.
And now she's a proud black woman running for president.
Yeah.
And I have nothing against a woman or a black woman
care.
or anybody being president. Because I think you have to have a certain amount of, you have to have some mental issues to think that you should be able to tell everybody what to do to begin with.
Yeah.
But if you are going to do it, you have to have a little more sense than Kamala's got going on with her.
Yeah, I've thought about that before, the ego involved, and I've heard other people talk about it before, the ego involved in being like, yeah, I'm the person that should fill the role they call the most powerful person in the world. Yeah. Like, I'm the best guy for the job. Like,
I don't get that. I mean, with Trump, really, the only thing that makes me somewhat hopeful that he might be the better option is the fact that the dude don't have to be doing this. So whether one of two things, whether he is just so power hungry that he's willing to risk his life time and time again for the off chance that he might not get flamboozled out of this next election, that he might be able to do some help for somebody.
Yeah.
That's me finding the silver lining in that Trump cloud. What you got, Tango? Is Ice Cube support Trump?
Yeah.
Did you look at
it?
Okay, yeah.
No, I looked that up a long time ago. That was in 2020. He went from NWA to MAGA.
Okay.
That was the news article that was written about him.
Okay.
No, I was just going to make a comment on the Trump ego. I mean, you saw him in the debate. He kind of fell into the trap when she attacked him and said, "Oh, his rallies are so boring.
Yeah,
they never leave." And he immediately jumped. Nobody's ever left a Trump rally. That's false. It's false. It's fake news. He got baited. His ego's there, so he does have that ego.
Yeah, he came out strong, and she was trying to make him mad, and it worked.
That was the whole point.
Yep.
She went in and attacked him and got him to bait. And
just got him mad.
Well, she turned it into a fight, as opposed to a point and counterpoint debate, which is not really what the presidential debate is anymore anyway. You don't get to respond to each other and have like a civil discourse. You just kind of yell at each other.
Well, no, you get to bring up just lies in general. Things that Snopes has proven false. There were very good Nazis.
There were good Nazis. No, there were no good Nazis.
There were good people on both sides. The Nazis were good. No, they weren't. It's wrong.
No, the Nazis were never good.
Well, the Nazis were not good at all. No.
But can you look at all this and politically on a worldly level and say, yeah, I got to vote for Trump? Well, I think you can. You can make that argument.
I think if I vote, It'll definitely be for Trump.
If I vote.
What gives me a little bit of the saving grace with him is that he picked up RFK.
Yeah.
And I like RFK.
Yeah.
And if Trump getting in there puts RFK in a position to be able to hang around a couple of years to the next election, like I think he planned on putting him in charge of CIA, FBI, something.
There was some cabinet
like
position,
that. He was going to give him, and I'm like, yeah, that's a good idea.
Yeah. It's good to see. RFK is a Democrat, like he just is, and on some level, Trump is too, for that matter. But like he's running as a Republican right now. But to be able to get RFK, Tulsi Gabbard, Tulsi bailed on the Democrats.
His eyes light up when you say her name.
I would have voted for Tulsi in 2020 if she would have not got ran off for supporting Bernie, but.
Well, they got rid of her after she crushed Kamala at the debate.
Yeah.
She was like, "Hey, you made people stay in jail past their time." And
she left the Democratic Party.
Yeah, she left the party. Yeah,
I think Tulsi's next up personally on the bench. She's one of the next ones. Vivek's up there.
Yeah,
Vivek's a crazy person like Trump who went from a billionaire
like
pharmaceutical.
Yeah, there were some good things about Vivek.
I liked Vivek. He's more that moderate. I think the next generation is much more different.
It's gotta be.
He makes way more logical sense with everything he talks about.
Yeah.
And then even Trump's VP pick makes me a little more comfortable.
J.D. Vance, yeah.
Yes.
How old did we decide he was?
I think he's in his 40s.
Yeah, I think he's not as old as me.
Yeah.
I want to say he's maybe 38. I don't know if he's even 40 yet. But it's got to come to the new generation at some point, right? Because even RFK is 70 years old. I think he's 69, 70. So in 4 years, he's 73, 74. Does he run his own presidential campaign then?
Well, how old is, y'all were saying Vivek? I thought it was Vivek.
Vivek.
It's Vivek.
Ramaswamy.
How old is he?
He's a young fella.
30
in terms of, you got to be 35 to run for president. So, he's at least that old, but he's not 50.
No.
I don't think. Maybe. I don't know.
39.
39. Okay, there you go.
J.D. Vance is 40.
Yeah. I was a big fan of Ron DeSantis, and he got a bum rap because he didn't have the riz, they said. But Ron would have been, or Ramaswamy too for that matter, would have been the first president younger than me, and I had to wrap my brain around that. But
I would love the idea of a president in my age range whatsoever.
Right, yeah. We're in like that spot right now where it's everything, your faculties all still work. And
well, the last one that was that young, what was Clinton? How old was Clinton when he took office? He was pretty young.
Yeah, he was relatively young. I could live with a guy in his 50s or maybe into his 60s even.
46.
40, who's 46?
That's what Clinton was.
Yeah,
when he took
okay.
office, yeah.
So I just turned 46 last week, so we're in that same ballpark.
You just turned 46.
Mm-hmm.
You run the country now.
Woo.
Are you mentally capable?
I got to sleep, man. I don't think the president ever gets to sleep, and I think that there's probably a lot of drugs involved. But I don't know. I've been listening. I listened to a podcast, oddly enough, called The President's Daily Brief, and I think about the stuff that's in there, and it's modeled after what the president would hear first thing every morning when he wakes up, and they go into the situation room or whatever, and he's like, hey, who got bombed overnight or whatever? And they run down what all's going on in Yemen and Niger and Lebanon. I'm like, okay, cool. And then they do it again in the evening.
Yeah.
And I'm like, man, that to wake up every single day and be like, hey, we're going to take military action here or not? Or like there's people, there was a train wreck in Lebanon. Where was the Palestine, Indiana, Ohio? And now the water's poisoned. Like, well, what do you think about that? I'm like, I got to say something about everything. And I know that as my time as a pastor, I got the same kind of questions. Well, what do you think about that? Well, I don't have to have an opinion about everything. I'm a pastor. If you're the president, you do.
You do.
And I can't imagine how exhausting that is. But you look at these guys that go through, like Clinton, who went into the White House at 46 and spent 8 years there and came out at 95, because it just wears guys out.
Yeah. I just can't imagine. I mean, I'm 44 now.
Yeah.
And I just can't imagine getting up every day and being like, yep, I'm going to run this.
Save the world. Most powerful man in the world.
Yeah. I mean, honestly, I do think the closest we'll ever get to it is Trump being in there. because he's a loose cannon, and I know the kind of smack I would be talking if I'm sitting there getting a briefing and they're like, hey, these people in this country and this country and this country, and I'll be like, do we still have homeless and starving people here?
Right, yeah,
and
yeah.
they'd be like, yeah, well, okay, let's take care of them, and then we'll make some phone calls and see what we can do for other people.
Yeah, yeah. I don't know. I don't know how much of the office of the president is up to the president anymore. Because,
very much.
when Trump's running the first time, he's like, I'm going to tell you who killed JFK and about the
I'm
aliens.
locking up Hillary.
Yeah, and all this stuff. And then he gets in there, and I feel like they sit you down when you're elected, when you're president-elect, like before you start getting your first briefings, and they're like, hey, you can't do that. Like, and here's why. And you see the pictures of the aliens at Roswell, and you go, oh, okay,
they show
or whatever.
You the film from the JFK.
Yeah, right. You see what happened to this guy? Keep your mouth shut and do
Speaking
what you're
of
told.
JFK, he was 43 when he became.
Okay, yeah, I knew JFK was really young too. I don't think there were aliens at Roswell. I don't get me wrong on that. That was for example.
There was something.
Maybe, I don't know. I'll have to ask, get Bob Lazar on sometime. But I think they dump this stuff on you, and they say, all that stuff you said, can't do that.
You can't do that.
Yeah.
Because if you lock up Hillary, it's going to lock up everybody.
Right, yeah, or any number of things. It's just going to bring down the entire government or whatever, and you just can't spill those beans to the American public. You're like, okay. And you come off as a liar because you thought you could do all those things before you got elected. Now, that's not really how it works. So, but no, I don't want any part of that. I got a job right now, and then we do this, and I'll still got to do dad stuff, and, like, who has time?
Yeah. I don't understand I saw a compilation the other day of how people running for president interacted with each other during the campaigns and everything, and it's never been as nasty as it's been the last 12 years.
No. Well, I remember, I was little, but I was old enough to remember Reagan and Mondale, and they were talking about how Ronald Reagan was too old. I think he was 73.
And he just said, I won't say anything about my
opponent's his youth and inexperience. And Walter Mondale's like 65, but he's not 73. Yeah, I won't hold my opponent's youth and inexperience against him. And Mondale across the stage has a chuckle. Everybody laughs. It was fun. These days, they're like, you're going to jail, and I'm going to, okay.
It was supposed to be two sides working together is the way our government was supposed to be set up.
Yeah, it was. It was supposed to, and they balance each other out, right? So, like, you can't push the country too far to the right or to the left because then next time the other side gets elected and they bring things back to the middle, and that was the idea. But now it's like it's becoming a power thing, and you've got people in government who make, what does the congressman make? $170,000 a year, and they're worth $10 million. Well,
yeah,
how you gotta? I don't know. Grant Cardone says that Nancy Pelosi would have had to have been in office for like 100,000 years or something to make the money that she's made.
And it's just okay.
Yeah, it's just cool.
Okay.
We're just good with it
because they're all doing it, so they all cover for each other.
Yeah,
it's like a normal thing. At some point, the servants become the tyrants.
It was a ruling class, right?
Yeah.
But that ain't us. And I don't know how to get there.
We came to America to escape the whole having a king and queen type deal.
Right.
And now we've set all the things we set up so it would be more equal and lifted them to the place of king and queen and ruler. And I don't understand that. How we as a society, as a civilization here, look at the Pelosi thing with how much money she's made, and we're just all like, okay, that's just going to be the end of it. Nobody's going to talk about it.
Yeah, nothing's going to happen to her.
There's no charges that she's not. I understand she's 110. You put her in jail. She's got 6 weeks left.
Right, but she's got a better trading record than Warren Buffett.
Yeah, and she gets to just pass all this wealth on to her family when she does go. So I'm starting to kind of believe in some kind of privilege. Yeah,
there's got to be some. And I don't know. Maybe it's the Skull and Bones or one of these secret societies that gets. I don't know. We can get into all kinds of weeds on that, but I mean, how do you vote for any of these people in good conscience? when they first get elected, they move to Washington, they can't afford an apartment there, and then all of a sudden they're worth $10 billion. Like, wait a minute, what just happened here?
I don't know. It's this nutty professor.
Yeah. But I mean, to the counter, you were along the same lines we were talking a few minutes ago with Trump. That wasn't the case with him. He was rich when he showed up. So why is he doing this?
Donated his salary.
Yeah, he donates his salary. But there are people, man, who, and I was talking to one the other day, that's just not good enough for. Like, why didn't he donate more? Well, why don't you donate more? I don't know. It's like the president doesn't make that much money anyway. Well, the president makes about $500,000 a year.
Does he?
$400,000, I think.
Okay.
And he just
so he
donates
gets a raise with inflation, but none of the rest of it.
Yeah, right.
Okay.
But it's, he didn't give away enough. And I was like, well, why don't you just say that you hate him? And she was like, yeah, I hate him. Okay, cool. Let's just start there next time and be honest with ourselves. But that's at the same time, there are people who worship that guy. You've seen pictures of him on the cross before, right? I mean,
God, yes. With the angel wings.
Yeah, angel wings.
Riding a bear with a machine gun.
There's one up the road. There's a picture up the road. He's a big flag. He's on like an army tank with a machine gun.
Yeah, I don't get that side of it. That's delusional. Both sides are equally delusional. Yeah. I do believe in that, Trump derangement syndrome. TDS.
That's a thing. It's a real thing.
It's a real thing, man. And that's just what you see. Like, I have Trumpers that are friends.
Yeah.
And when we talk, it's like we're talking now, I tell them I don't like Trump.
Yeah.
And of course, they're hardcore MAGA. Trump is the savior type guy. I'm like, no, I don't like Trump. Kamala's a piece too, but she might be a little more bigger piece. You know what I mean? But when I have those interactions with them, they're just like, well, why don't you like him? And when I tell the reasons why I don't like him, they're like, well, I mean, really can't argue with it too much. But when you go talk to people from the other side, and all they can do is bash Trump. Well, tell me something good Kamala did. Trump's a racist. Is that all you got?
Yeah.
That's all you got. Like, Kamala has locked up way more black people than Trump we could ever think of. How many black students has Kamala put through college? I bet if you look at Trump's money he gives away every year, he gives away money to everything.
Well, he raised funding for HBCUs while he was in there, historically black colleges and universities. He guaranteed funding for that. He's always been friendly to that community.
And that community loved him until he ran for president.
Right. Well, a lot of folks loved him. He was in all kinds of rap songs and movies.
Every rapper out there wanted to be like Trump.
Yeah.
Until Trump
and then he runs for president, and now they hate his guts. So it is what it is. I don't hate the guy. I don't want anybody to shoot him. Like, these psychos really need to stop shooting at the guy. I don't want anybody to shoot at Kamala Harris either.
No,
I just don't want her to be president,
That's the difference in the two sides.
Yeah.
Right there. It's like, I don't wish ill will on her. She's just not fit to be a leader. Like, go keep doing what you were doing in California. Y'all have already screwed that state up, so just keep it rocking and doing what you're doing out there and leave the rest of us alone, Some chick that used to be the arm candy for Montel Williams now wants to run my country. And it's like, I know it ain't too much better. Trump was on TV too, I don't like the idea of the whole celebrity thing being a concept here. It's not what it's supposed to be.
Right.
I mean, I guess Reagan did it. He was an actor before.
Reagan was like a B movie actor.
Yeah.
But he was.
But back then,
famous.
most movies were B movies.
Right.
Hollywood wasn't what it is today. But I don't see anything changing until there's a complete overhaul, which means getting these old freaking people out of there and getting some younger people.
Yeah.
And it's kind of scary because I myself, being in my 40s, I don't want the job. And I'm kind of scary about anybody my age that thinks they can do the job. But we have got to try something different. Having these relics in there telling us how to live is not it.
Yeah, we don't need to have to decide between two octogenarians ever again.
No.
That can't be like 350 million people, and these are the best people that we can come up with to try to do this job. Like,
I mean, that's the only thing I can say for Kamala. She's probably the only person that's ran for president or been in any office since Obama that could probably beat me in a foot race.
Maybe. I don't know. Man, I've never seen. She's Jamaican, right?
She's Indian.
But she's like, he's Indian and Jamaican. I want to say her dad's Jamaican and her mom was Indian. That's right. Yeah. So I mean, Jamaicans are known for like they're sprinters.
Speed.
Yeah, they're runners.
I am speed.
That's what they do.
Bolt.
We know a lady that grew up in Jamaica, and she ran track. It's what they did there. They ran track before school every morning.
How does somebody from
sidetrack.
India and somebody from Jamaica make an African American?
She was born here, so they got together and came here or met here.
Is Jamaica in Africa?
No. It's in the Caribbean.
It's not? Okay, no. It's in the Caribbean. That's what I thought it was. Yeah. I didn't think it moved.
Yeah. Mm-mm.
Okay. And India is still way over there, right?
Yeah, it's pretty far.
In Asia or somewhere in there?
Yeah.
Yeah, so somehow that makes African American. That's weird.
We're bending words these days, right? And changing definitions, and we can do all kinds of stuff.
That. We're
good at it. We're good at it.
Yeah, I mean, if there's not a word, we can just make it up.
Yeah. But, so, I mean, that's sort of the political end of things.
You think being from the Jamaica thing is probably why she don't think it's a big deal that people are eating cats and stuff in Ohio?
They're eating the dogs.
That was one of those highlights, right? I didn't watch the debate, but, like, man, when he got up there railing against them eating dogs, I was
it's so funny that like they got the city planner and like the mayor, and they're all like, this is not a problem. You're not hearing right. We're not having that issue. And then person after person on TikTok from there is going, no, it's real. We don't have stray animals anymore.
Real people on the ground.
Yeah, it was an issue. It's not an issue now.
So that story goes back to a year plus ago, and it's been fact checked. Pretty much. Chris Rufo went back, had the picture of basically people grilling cats.
Yeah.
On a little blue grill.
There's people up there on social media saying it's happening.
I understand that.
I can't. I mean, there's probably a scenario where I could eat a dog.
Look, I understand other cultures do other things.
Yeah,
that's fine.
It's a thing.
But if you come here, you got to respect our culture. We don't eat mittens. You know? What you got, Tango?
So nothing.
You can fact check me.
Who do you vote for to stop that?
I'm going to continue to believe it because it's funnier.
I mean, the same way that we like quote unquote believe in the aliens, right? It's just fun.
It's just fun. Well, I see. I like on X or whatever the thing with the mayor or city planner or whatever coming out and saying that it really wasn't happening. Well, then you see people posting under there, I'm from here. Yes, it is.
I live on 34th Street and on June the 11th. Yeah.
But
I don't know.
Who knows what to believe that you see on anything anymore?
You know, as far as that goes, maybe they made it up. Maybe the post is made up to say that it's not happening. And then there are like 87 bots on there going, oh, yeah, it's definitely happening. And then they're not real. You know, who knows?
What if it's something that it was made up just to make Trump look goofy at the debate?
Right.
To get him the dogs.
Let's get him to talk about eating dogs.
It was the best cat they ever had. It was an American cat.
It's a Maine Coon.
It's a big cat.
Yeah, those are giant cats.
Some of them brought cats over the border with them. We have to stop these cats.
Yeah, you know, I don't know. Who's going to stop them from eating cats? Maybe that's who we vote for.
I don't think Daddy's impressed with me taking it to the cat eating.
We talked about this when we were talking about, what are we going to talk about in this episode? And you were like, eating cats? And I was like, if it comes up, man.
Oh, it was coming up.
It was coming.
He made it come up.
You facilitated.
I had to mention it. I've been thinking about too many funny things about that to not bring it up.
Yeah. I don't know, man. We sort of operate on a delay here, so as long as they're still eating cats by Sunday when this comes out, it'll still be funny.
Or even if they are, who knows?
Yeah.
Maybe I've been lied to by the people that saying they're from there.
Who does
make
know?
It look like a bigger deal than it is. You have to take everything with a grain of salt that you see on the internet, you know?
Yeah. Not this podcast, though. This is legit and real.
Legit, real. Everything's real here. Organic, made from fruit and stuff.
Yeah, made it from scratch. Right here in the bunker.
What's he reading?
Anywho, you seem confused. You have your
No, I'm reading something.
What are you on Snopes over there? You on Reddit? What's going on?
A little bit of Snopes.
Okay.
Fact checking on you boys.
Fact checking the cats.
Well, fix it while we're on here so we can be like, I lied.
I know, right? So we're gonna move on and we'll circle back if
so
we
people are
need
eating
to.
cats. That's for real happening right now. But anyway.
So here's some other examples that you and I have discussed, at least one of them, as far as the theme of the enemy of my enemy being my friend. Joe Rogan, in terms of the believer, the Christian. Is Joe Rogan the enemy of our enemy? Is he our friend? He's not a religious person. He's not hostile to religion.
He has came around to, I think, friend.
Yeah.
I wouldn't consider his ideology or anything of an enemy.
Yeah.
But I mean, let's get the context, because it's easier to put it in perspective of Trump and Kamala.
Mm-hmm.
So why am I?
Well, that's why I was
pick?
getting away from it.
Yeah,
that's low hanging fruit.
Well, like Joe Rogan, I think it's just been awesome as a fan to see him come around to be as open towards the beliefs that he has. You know, because he used to have a very stern stance against it and thought it was just all silly and hogwash.
Right.
So he's, you know, because of who he's chose to have around him, it seems like his heart's opening up a little bit to it. So that's awesome. So I definitely consider that dude a friend.
Yeah.
So yeah.
So even though he'll tell you, I still don't believe, you know, whatever. He's I guess agnostic now as opposed to atheist, because he agrees, you know, that the idea of a creator is probably a real thing.
Well, I also know that Scripture tells me, if all possible, live at peace with everybody around you.
Yeah.
So unless you are attacking this, you know, our faith and all this, then you're never an enemy.
Right.
You know, just because you're not with me doesn't make you an enemy. You're just another person in the world.
Right.
But when you come to attacking this, well, now you've made yourself an enemy.
Yeah. Well, and even in his most recent comedy special, he had the joke about evolution.
And I'll stick with Jesus.
Yeah. He's like, well, this evolution thing sounds like blah, blah, blah. I don't think I'm going to stick with the Jesus theory on this. And that's not to say that he's come around and is a believer in Jesus now. But I think a major factor in his change has been the fact that he talks to Jordan Peterson.
Yeah, yeah.
Jordan Peterson is one of the smartest people on the planet and was an atheist for a long time and has recently come to the faith. And Joe's got to look at a guy like Jordan Peterson and go, well, he's smarter than me, like for sure. And he's seen this, so maybe there's something to it. And I think that's kind of where Joe is right now.
Yeah, because I think a lot of people like that, though. They shun away Jesus and the God thing because they don't want to feel kooky.
Right. Yeah.
And that's kind of the way I feel Joe Rogan's stance was for a long time, is I don't want to be no part of this kooky thing.
Yeah.
And now he's like seeing a greater mind than his, so to speak, be open to it. So it's open him to it.
Joe Rogan's a stand-up comedian, right? How hard is it to be a stand-up comedian and a Christian and not tell those jokes anymore and not say those words, right? So you're looking at that and you're like, well, if I do that, I can't be this guy on stage anymore, and that's tough to let go
That's
of.
very relatable too, though.
Yeah.
Because I feel like that kept me away from the faith for a long time. Was thinking all these things that I enjoy in life that I'm going to have to give up.
I can't do any fun stuff anymore.
You know,
yeah.
And that's, first of all, it's the wrong way to look at it.
Yeah,
You don't have to give up a thing. You just find Jesus, pursue Jesus, and then the rest of that will take care of itself.
Yeah, yeah.
But don't be thinking, oh, I got to give up, you know, bubble baths and pork on Sunday and all that in order to come pursue this. No, you don't. Eat your pork, take your bath. Let's go.
Yeah, yeah. But it's, I don't know, he's come around, and he's at least not hostile. He's not sharing the gospel by any means, but he's made some like positive inroads towards, I don't hate believers, and I don't think that Jesus is such a far-fetched idea that it's not possible.
Yeah, yeah. I don't get offended much. I don't feel like I have the right to be offended, really. But the only time I dislike, like this straight up dislike comedian, is when they full on blatantly attack the faith.
Yeah.
And there's a few of them out there that do it.
Yeah.
And I'm like, why go there, dude? Like, to me, it doesn't make much business sense. Like, yeah, you're going to get a lot of the people that agree with you to cheer you on harder, but you just cut out a big part of the population of people that would think you'd funny if you just let that part go.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, I don't know. You got to look at who your audience is.
It
And
was like Patton Oswalt. I always thought he was really funny, but he goes hard against faith.
yeah, I don't know. I think there's some room there for making fun of religion, even as a comedian.
Oh, there definitely is. But
Yeah.
the complete they making fun of it like it ain't real.
Right,
You know what I mean?
right,
Like, there's a
right.
difference when we know it's real and we make our little digs at it. Kind of like the whole "you can't say it because you're not one" type deal. You know what I mean?
Yeah, yeah.
So
yeah.
it's like you can't talk about my brother. It's my brother.
Right.
So it's like kind of like that deal. Like if you're not in the faith, don't be taking jabs at it.
Yeah, yeah. And I don't know. I get it why folks would want to make jokes and kind of poke at it a little bit. I do. We do.
Oh,
We've
yeah,
made
we
plenty of fun of
definitely
it.
do.
There's plenty of room, but there's a line where you get to and you go, I wouldn't have said that.
Yeah, I feel like when I joke about it, though, it's coming from a place of love and how I would like to see this transformation happen.
Yeah, and that's
so
great.
that the joke
by all
wouldn't-
means.
Yeah, so that the material wouldn't be there for the joke to be made to begin with.
Right.
You know, it's not coming from a place of hate.
Yeah.
you
Yeah.
know.
Yeah. Yeah. Now when I joke about it, it's because I want us to look better, to be
Yeah.
better, to do better, and it's sometimes humor is the best way to bring light to something like that.
Self-observation.
Yeah, but to be like, you guys are all idiots because you believe that. And you're like, oh, nobody's laughing.
Yeah.
But
I went to a comedy show one time, saw one of my favorite comedians, and we were about 10 minutes in, and he even said before, look, I know, we were in Tennessee, I know I'm in the South. But then he made his Bible joke, and about 1/3 of the people were laughing.
Oh.
And he went, all right, really? It's really going to go downhill from there? And I'm like, the rest of it was hilarious.
Yeah.
But yeah, that one, we were all kind of like,
yeah.
Move past that one. I hope you ain't filming a special tonight. Because that one didn't land.
Not going to make the cut. Yeah. I don't know. There's another example I thought of in terms of somebody who's not one of us but is not hostile to us is Bill Maher. Are you familiar with Bill Maher?
Yeah, and he's only become unhostile recently.
Very
I
recently.
would say.
Yeah, well, it's been, let's see, how old is this article? 2014. He's talking to Charlie Rose, and Charlie Rose is trying to say that so many, what's the quote? I'll pull the quote up so nobody's mad at me. Where's it at? Okay. Maher, a self-proclaimed atheist, began refuting former Democratic presidential candidates Howard Dean's recent statement that vast numbers of Muslims are not like ISIS in Iraq and Syria, an al-Qaeda offshoot that seeks to form an Islamic emirate in the Levant region through jihad, right? So he's like, Howard Dean's going, not all the Muslims are that way. So here comes Bill Maher and says, vast numbers of Christians don't believe that if you leave Christianity, you should be killed for it. Vast numbers of Christians don't treat women as second-class citizens. They don't believe that if you draw a picture of Jesus, you should be killed for it. ISIS does.
Yeah.
And huge, let's say, rogue-like activities where they just kill people indiscriminately who aren't like them. And he's pointing out that Christians don't do that.
Right.
So there's other times, too, when he's kind of had our back on some things that weren't necessarily in his best interest, but just made sense to him.
Yeah.
Now, he's far away from being what you would call a believer, like still an avowed atheist, and still thinks that religion's kind of silly, but at least these people aren't trying to start a global jihad, whatever.
Yeah. So, I don't know. I already have a negative mindset towards him anyway, I think.
Yeah. That's a little different than Rogan even, yeah.
Well, first of all, I've never really thought he was funny.
He's not funny.
He's
not a funny
I've
guy.
never seen a Bill Maher stand up and went, oh, this is one of the best ever. So it's like, it's hard for me to take anybody. I mean, but here I am, country bumpkin on YouTube and Spotify trying to get you to listen to me talk. And I'm like, well, who's Bill Maher? Why should I listen to him? But I'll tell you, because he says he's a comedian. And I don't think he's funny. But anyway, but he's just always been so hardcore left, and it's cool. I appreciate the fact of him standing up.
Yeah.
I wouldn't necessarily consider him a friend per se,
right?
But I do appreciate that he has softened his view up a little bit, and I've seen that happen in him too. And maybe if he goes a little bit farther, I could come meet him somewhere. and I wouldn't be so against him.
Yeah.
But my first instincts when I hear about him is I don't want to hear what that guy's saying.
Yeah.
Because he's just aggravated me so much in the past.
Yeah. Now he's gone in on religion before, but then there are times like we just pointed out here where he defended our particular faith as, he still thinks it's kind of silly that we believe in Sky Daddy or whatever, but like we're not blowing each other up either.
Right.
So there's something to be said for that. But I don't know. Is the enemy of my enemy my friend?
Sometimes.
Sometimes. It's about the conclusion that we can come to, right? And depending on circumstances and things like that.
Yeah. I mean, first of all, we're really not supposed to be vindictive anyway. We're not really pursuing vengeance on our own. The only way I can see to look at this from a Christian perspective would be in politics.
Yeah.
Because as far as our faith goes, we're supposed to reach everybody and help everybody. But if they hinder your walk or they are too tempting you for whatever reason, then you turn from them. I've kind of had this view of politics that render to Caesar what is Caesar's. Caesar owns the circus. Let him worry about the circus.
Right.
And people will call me, what's the right word for that? I'm being very not responsible.
Yeah, or naive.
Being naive and not responsible because I'm not taking action and da-da-da-da-da. And I'm like, oh, man, like, if it's okay, well, the Bible says God puts all the rulers in their places.
Right, Romans 13.
So why am I playing along thinking I have a say-so on what's going to be going on? In the long run, guess who wins?
Yeah.
It's going to get real nasty between now and then.
Well, and we're not supposed to just throw our hands up either. Because,
no, you can't lean on a shovel and pray for a hole.
Right. And you look at examples in the Bible, like any of the disciples for that matter, or like specifically against the government, the three Hebrew boys, Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego. The king says, hey, you got to bow down or you're going to go in the fire. Well, they went in the fire because they wouldn't bow down. Daniel went in the lion's den because he wouldn't do what the king was telling him to do. So there's a time to stand up and go, I'm not bowing to that.
But they don't stand up the way we envision ourselves standing up.
Right.
Because the way we envision ourselves standing up is obviously America.
Yeah.
Take arms, get up, fight, yada, yada.
Yeah.
And it's like, we'll do that if it comes to protecting our family. I don't know any person that I would consider a man that wouldn't. But at the same time, that's not supposed to be our go-to thought process of how to handle the world.
Well, in America, we're a little different because if somebody starts telling us this is what you have to do because the government says so, well, there's another election coming. And we can change that. We can put some new people in and get things, on paper at least. It doesn't seem that way in real life, but on paper we can change this. So, like, we don't have to bow because in a couple months we're going to vote and you won't be there anymore and the next guy's not going to tell me to bow. I'll vote for somebody that won't make me do that. So we've got a little different. Our government is built so that we can challenge it, as citizens.
Supposedly.
Yeah. And like I said, on paper and in theory, we're supposed to be able to stand up that way. And ultimately, we stand up with our weapons and challenge the tyrannical government, which was the whole idea behind the Second Amendment.
Well, I'm not going to put everybody's business in the street, but I'd say all of us are pretty much from the same level of human beings as far as we're not living in garbage bags, but we're not living in mansions. We're scraping by. We're getting by. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Do you feel that your government gives a rip about you?
No, zero. Yeah.
If something happened to you tomorrow, is anything going to change as far as they are considered?
No, I got my property tax bill yesterday, and I can tell you that I
got mine too, and I'm like, what the heck is this?
So they don't care about you, right?
And that's the local level.
Yeah.
Too. That's your local.
Yeah,
level.
even at the lowest level. Yeah.
Kamala and Joe right there. That's your local people down here that you can run into at Jefferson's.
Yeah.
And be like, hey, dude, why's my taxes so high?
Jefferson's is a fantastic wing joint, not a paid sponsor.
But I just don't feel like they care about us at all.
They don't. They don't.
I can make a million TikToks complaining and making all these jokes that I do, but what's the chances that one of them, first of all, is going to see it?
Yeah.
And then secondly, is going to be like, oh, this dude that I've never heard of from Georgia has a point.
I think that Trump is probably the most likely one to see them.
Probably.
Like he's on his phone in the toilet at 2:00 in the morning or whatever, and he's like, "Who's this Kilo Papa?" I gotta.
Hey, maybe I'll get lucky. I'll be posting about him.
Yeah. I don't know. You never know. But I do think he would be most likely. But would it change anything? I don't know. Because he feels like if you died, he could convince somebody else to vote for him.
And growing up, man, they pushed the voting thing so hard on
Rock
us.
the vote.
Rock the vote, and then when P. Diddy did it, we can talk about that too if you want to. But anyway, when
that got spicy, didn't it?
Yeah, when the producer formerly known as Diddy, when he was in the game and everything, it was a bit different.
Yeah. Yeah. Please don't, if you learn anything from this episode, please don't just vote. People just vote.
I was going
don't
with that.
just
Man,
vote.
I went blank there for a second.
No, bring it back.
Diddy's was vote or die.
Vote or die.
It was vote or die.
Yeah, no. Yeah. Don't just vote. Don't just vote or die.
Yeah, be informed.
Please do your research.
It's easy these days, right? We all got the interwebs in our pocket.
Until we change something, nothing changes.
Yeah.
This two-party system isn't working. It's not. It's not working. How many hundreds of years? It's been a couple hundred years now. It's not working.
Yeah, it's been 250-ish, close to.
Coming up.
And I ain't saying you got to trash the whole thing.
No, the system itself can work.
However many millions or billions of people we got in America, I don't know. It's a lot.
350 million.
350 million. Trump and Kamala's our two best options in a world full of Neil deGrasse Tysons and all these great other minds in the world.
Jordan Peterson's Canadian, but
I don't care.
No, right?
Jordan Peterson's, but you got these type of people.
Northern America.
Yeah, 51st state.
You got these type of people walking the globe, and we take just whoever thinks
these
that they're
guys
insane enough to do it.
Maybe we've gotten to the point where that's the only people who want the job is like the criminally insane. You know what I mean? Like these people who are just like, I'll be the president. Like, Does a sane and rational person still want that job?
Maybe the reason all the presidents age 50 years in a 4-year term is because they want to do way more than they can. Maybe it drives you crazy going, okay,
I'm sure it does.
I've been fighting to get to this position so I can fix all this stuff. And now I learned that JFK faked his death and he's still running it from behind the scenes. And the aliens live under the White House.
Yeah.
Pizzagate is a weird looking gate.
Yeah. Shaped like a big pepperoni or whatever.
Before we jump off.
You knew I was about to. Go ahead.
I know. I'm going to hit you with some trivia.
All right, do it.
All right.
So, since we've been talking presidents, who of the 46 that we've had, who has the longest running tenure of post-presidency?
Of post-presidency? What do you mean?
They were allowed the longest after they left the office.
Probably Jimmy Carter.
Bonus points if you can tell me in a year. Like an amount of years.
So Carter would have left office in
80.
January of 80, and he lived until last year. So 44 years? 43 years?
43 years, 232 days. And fun fact, he's still alive.
Sorry, Jimmy. He lives down the road.
He's been on ICU.
I thought Jimmy was dead.
Wow.
Rosalind died, right? His wife?
Yes.
Okay.
He is 99 years and 353 days old.
So Jimmy can hang on for 12 more days. He turns 100?
October 1st, he will turn 100.
And he's been on hospice for quite a while.
Yeah,
too.
I knew he was. I thought he was gone. I didn't realize he was still with us.
Don't jinx it!
Man. So by the time, I hope he's still alive by the time this comes out on Sunday.
Didn't Betty White make it to like almost 100? She went out a week early.
They were planning her big birthday bash, and she died in the planning of the 100th birthday. But
well, that got dark quick. It was supposed to be fun.
I know. So back to Jimmy Carter. Bless his heart. It's not so dark because he's still alive. It's fantastic. Let's say this about Jimmy Carter.
He's built more homes for Habitat.
Holy smokes, this guy, up until pretty recently, he was on the rotation to clean the bathrooms at his church. Like everybody signs up for one day a month or whatever,
and he would peanut farmer.
Yeah, great guy.
He may have been a terrible president, but man, he was a great person.
Solid human. Solid human.
And that's the kind of people we need again.
Yeah. Just a decent dude in there. Just somebody we all like and can. They don't even have to be great president at this point because we still got 2 other branches of government.
Well, you're never going to find somebody that we all like.
Yeah,
We
yeah,
just
right,
gotta
right.
stand up and be okay with some people.
I don't know.
not
Reagan
liking
won
it.
49 states.
Did he?
Yeah, against Mondale. He cleaned up.
It was a different day, though.
It was. It was a different day, different time. And I don't know. It just kind of was what it was. But you got anything else?
That was just trivia for today.
I thought that was cool. Jimmy Carter's from Georgia. The only president ever from Georgia.
Most of them come from Ohio. And
Yeah.
so does most serial killers.
Woo! All right.
Back to the dark stuff, Chris.
So we're jumping off. That's the jump the shark. I hope you guys all looked up what jump the shark means since the last episode we had. But
If not, do it this week.
do it this week. Jump the shark. What does that mean? Some of you old folks might know.
Hey.
That means Chris knows. It's awesome. Anyway, that's it. Thank you guys for watching. God bless you. We love you. See you next time.
Good night.
I'm sporting a
I didn't have any.
#1 JUCO team in the country.
Come to a bald man's
Hush,
house to
blue
take a
drinks.
shower, and he has no hair products.
There's like 7 of them up there.
You got the 3-in-1 in the
I
shower.
washed my hair with the same thing I wash my body with,
got
which I
the-
love, by the way.
The soap, shampoo,
if I run
tire
out of-
shine.
It's like a 9-in-1. Yeah.
Yeah.
Wash your
It's
dog
a
with it.
toothpaste, shampoo, conditioner, body wash, paint scrub, all of it.
So why are we so echoey?
Is it because it's coming through the TV back into the microphones?
It's still at 1%.
I wasn't expecting you to pop up.